All right, and we are live. ILP Podcast, Lord Cosmito here. And who is this fine gentleman in the realm of Summer Game Fest?
So I'm Dan McDonald. I'm the exec producer for Directive 8020.
Directive 8020. So let's get right to it. Supermassive Games, Directive 2020. For those living under a rock, what is Directive 2020 all about?
So it's a sci-fi game. It's our first foray into the future in sci-fi. We keep talking about this as it's the thing in space. That's what we want it to be. I've been working on the series from the start. All the great stories. Yeah, they're my twisted babies. That's what I've been calling them now. I'm sure the creative director will hate me for that, but they're my babies. But yeah, we've got to do lots of different horror. With Ghost Ship and sort of witchcraft in Little Hope, and then vampires in a desert and a murder castle. And now we get to go to the future with space and see what that brings. And yeah, these people they're professional astronauts. They're not a bunch of teenagers in the woods, so they're hopefully a bit more unflappable and aware of the situation. And but they're thousands of light years away from Earth, so there's going to be no help from Earth. Wow. There's isolation. Space is a dangerous place, and then of course an alien.
And then an alien. So again, we got the characters, we got the scenario. Now, as far as the mechanics, how is the player going to be able to navigate these characters in this situation?
So we've taken a few more years for this one. Since the previous games we managed to do one every year, which was a real challenge, but it was a lot of fun to do. We wanted to really change everything up and make it as good as it possibly could be. So everything's new. All the controls, the animation systems, new from the ground up. So it feels a lot more like an action adventure in terms of how you move around with strafing, and we have stealth moments, and the big thing for us is we want to scare the player in new ways. So we're calling it threat in exploration.
Okay.
And so before in our previous games, you've been safe when you've been walking around, reading the puzzles and figuring things out. Whereas now, there's a real threat. A hunter's going to get you, which means we can kill the player in loads more ways, in loads more places. You can still play it like the old Dark Pictures. You can make that easy for yourself and have that lean back movie-style gameplay. But it's a new experience for us.
Oh, that's awesome. One thing off the top I will say, Attic, the game, the fidelity is absolutely amazing. The glow up is spectacular. What engine are we using, and what are the learnings that you learned from the other games graphically?
Yeah, so we're on UE5. So yeah, that was a big change for us. Change a whole load of pipelines. The way that the game is lit is different now. The fidelity. The previous games also had to run on PS4 and Xbox One. So this is very much just the current gen now.
Oh, so we're current gen only.
Yeah, current gen only. So that we can really lean into that and make it look as good as it can. Like I said, we've taken some more time. Right. And it's a real, as well as doing different types of horror, this is a real good chance for the team to express themselves. We can't use the trees and bushes and rocks and stuff we've made before. It has to be, it's all new. So they're all stretching themselves and, exercising different muscles.
Gotcha. And again, what are some other learnings that I felt that you've learned from the past game that now either you've expanded upon or maybe have removed now in the latest with Directive 2020?
I think the big one is the turning point system that we've got in this, which is
that.
So that is around being able to make change to a lot of our fans, they play through the game many times. Some people play through it once and that's their story and they want to live with that. But a lot of people, they want to see all the great content that we've made and the different, you have a really bleak ending, or maybe they want to try again and get a better ending, or save everyone, or kill everyone. A lot of our fans do that, and we want to make that easy for them. So now they can rewind to the previous moment and change what happened, or they can go all the way back to the start, or any different branching, and it doesn't overwrite what you've done. So you can kind of collect it all and get there.
Got it.
So yeah, it's a lot easier for people to play. Again, you can still have that classic Dark Pictures gameplay, just start,
right.
Have your movie night for Halloween with your friends over, you live with your choices and you'll get a trophy or achievement for doing that. But if you want to engage with it, you can, see all the different branching. We show you the map so you can see it all. And
so we're getting the visualization of the path, right?
In a way. We're pulling back the curtain and letting you see into it all. So,
I like games like that because one, obviously it adds to the replayability of the game, right? So you're like, okay, these are all the potential options that could happen at this point, and you you can see that you left things on the table, especially things that have really reactive consequences. So I love stuff like that, and again, again, are we going really wide as far as the amount of potential endings or scenarios?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a bunch of really different main endings, whether you can imagine the kind of thing that might happen in space, right? They're stuck on a planet, maybe they've got away, maybe they haven't got fuel to get away, maybe the alien's still with them, a whole bunch of really big, and they play out really quite differently. And then on top of that, there's a whole bunch of variation of who can live or die, that's all still there,
I love that. I personally like that stuff because, again, you get attached to certain characters, stuff like that, and then sometimes you make choices, Attic, that your favorites get murked. So it's funny to say, okay, wait, there's a chance to potentially save some characters I like or go into a scenario. But one thing also I want to talk about is like kind of like the cover mechanics and hiding around and getting around the threats. How are we doing the stealth and being able to be careful? How are we handling that?
Yeah, so that's like I said, it's all new for us. It's brand new mechanics, brand new systems, animations, put a lot of work and effort into that. So yeah, you've got to be a bit stealthy. There's a number of, but it's all about choice. There's a number of ways you can face this monster. You have a way of fighting back against it, but we don't want you to be powerful. We don't have massive weapons that you can fight back. It's not that kind of game. It's horror. You're weak. You have to run. You have to hide. So yeah, while you can fight back against it in some small way, you can sneak past it. You can learn its behaviours, where it's going to move. You can distract it. There's ways of you interacting with the ship, changing the power, turning screens on, turning on little robots, drawing it into different places so that you can get past it. So there's a whole bunch of cool stuff there.
One thing I'm going to keep bloviating about the graphics, but also the cinematic cuts. This game looks outstanding. The way the cuts are going. Like, are you going for a real, movie feel? Like the choice on the angles that you guys are using is really cool too. Can you tell me about the design on that?
Yeah, definitely. We put a lot of work into making it feel like a movie and look like a movie. That fidelity. I think we're quite well known for that now. The animation quality, and especially when you've got someone like Lashana Lynch playing young. She's the biggest star we've had. Rami Malek from Until Dawn became a big star, but she's already a big star. That was a real coup for us.
Did that blow up the budget? Did it blow up the budget?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, you got a lot of names on
You get what you pay for. She's fantastic, and she's such a humble woman as well. So I'm really lucky to get to go on the sets with her and the other actors. We have them all together, so they act to each other.
Awesome.
And so it's not just, not disrespecting anyone else, but it's not just someone in a room on their own in a sound booth. It's, they're seeing them die and they're reacting to it. So we have all those reactions.
Got it.
And it's beautiful. They, some of the moments where they're absolutely crying their eyes out, they've pushed themselves to the extremes, and she's getting upset, or Danny Sapiani, who plays Stafford, is getting upset, and they're all reacting to it in the moment, or when they're laughing and joking and having a light moment in the game as well. And then that all comes through in our animation systems, and you can see it and you can feel it. It's really important.
That's awesome, man. And one thing I love about these games, I feel like these games are also good bridge games for people who sometimes are intimidated by super hardcore video games. And it's like 1,000 things and controls and schemes. And they look at this and they're like, okay, this looks like a movie. I'm really invested. I want to get involved with. So like, again, then you have these decisions which we can't show right now, where it's like really life or death. And you got timed choices. Like, tell me how that affects the gameplay, as well as drawing in maybe a casual audience sometimes who maybe really draws to this because of the cinematic nature of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the time choices is, that's on purpose. It's, make you feel under pressure. We do this thing, we call them dilemmas. They're big choices, There's often not a good outcome for that. And the choice you've just seen as we're playing, it can be different. Different stuff can have happened earlier in the game, which means that the outcome of it is different as well. You can figure out how that's going to play out, but also, you have to take a chance, and sometimes you get it wrong. And often it's like, I don't know, who do I save? And we have a choice about that. Save this person or save this person, and see how it plays out. But yeah, we know that a lot of our fans, they play these together. That's why we have movie night mode, which is, that's up to 5 players together on one sofa.
Okay.
Perfect for Halloween parties.
Awesome.
So now we've extended that as well. So as well as having 5 on a sofa, you can have. You can be anywhere. It can be 5 people on different computers playing together, or 2 on one machine and 3 on another. So you can have that party. Even if your friends are halfway across the country, you can still play with them.
Can you expand upon the party vibe? Because it reminds me. I don't want to misrepresent your mechanics, but So let's say we have 5 on the couch, whatever, playing this game. Can they dictate choice based on, how does that work?
So the main thing that you're doing is you've each selected a character, and when it's their turn, you'll play as that character.
Ah, gotcha.
But yeah, we're always looking at, okay, can we vote? Can we add new mechanics on top of that stuff? But the main thing is, you know, I'm playing as Young, you're playing as Stafford, or whoever. Yeah.
Awesome. And me personally, Attic, I was thinking about, you know, obviously games in the past, like As Dusk Falls, things like that. Like, I think these are awesome streaming games, you know what I'm saying, with the community and stuff like that, to get people involved. And I think that's something that, I love when games like lean into that kind of stuff, as far as involving others, you know, in this type of high tension, high stakes cinematic environment.
I mean, the whole idea for that movie night came from the streamers. You know, it came from, you know, we watched how people played Until Dawn when we released that many years ago now, and they were having parties of, you know, loads of people, you know, I'm going to be Ashley, I'm going to be whoever. And so we, you know, okay, let's support that. Let's put a wrapper around it and some support so that when it's your turn, it tells you it's your turn, and we can move that around and change it.
Nice. Look, man, I'm super excited. You know, Attic is a huge fan of this game. I'm a huge fan of these style games. I just love how far you guys have come and the next level this thing is. So any final things as far as release, how close are we, what's going on, how can people get more information on Directive 2020?
I mean, you know, obviously the brand new trailer's out there, so get on YouTube and watch that. You know, the last trailer we did last year is the biggest trailer we've ever done as a games company. So there's a lot of, you know, we can get on wishlist now on Steam and on the other platforms as well. Get on there with that. We're releasing 2nd of October, so just in time for that Halloween push, you know, all your parties that everyone wants to have. You know, we know it's a big thing in the States. It's not as big thing in the UK, but it's getting there. You know, we're all starting to dress up a bit more and have a lot of fun.
No, I like that. Absolute pleasure. I love that you guys are getting close as far as October. You got digital soundtracks, you got things, you got a package going on. Look, we're super excited. Attic, any other final things you wanted to say before? Cool, man. I just want to make sure my boy is satiated. And look, an absolute pleasure. Directive 2020, it looks great. This is like the perfect Halloween month game.
Definitely.
We're excited. Again, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, all major platforms.
Yeah, definitely. All major platforms.
We're looking forward to it. Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having you in the realm. Directive 2020.